Welcome back everyone to another fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare and valuable coins where tiny pieces of metal can turn into life-changing treasures, and today we are going to explore one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in coin collecting history, the story of the 1975 1-cent coin that is valued at a staggering $59 million, not because it is made of gold or encrusted with diamonds, but because of the jaw-dropping series of minting errors and historical quirks that have transformed this humble penny into one of the most talked about coins among collectors, investors, and treasure hunters all over the globe. So get ready, because we are about to unravel the reasons why this coin is so special, why it is worth more than a luxury mansion or a fleet of supercars, and how something you might have ignored in your change could hold unimaginable value. And as we begin, let's take a step back to 1975, a year filled with significant events, from political shifts to cultural revolutions, and in the United States mint facilities the production of 1-cent coins was in full swing. But what makes this specific 1975 1-cent stand apart from the millions upon millions of others minted that year is not just a single mistake, but an unbelievable combination of rare errors that make the odds of its existence astronomically small and therefore priceless in the eyes of collectors. Now, when we talk about coin errors, most people think of simple misstrikes or doubled images, but the 1975 1-cent in question features an almost encyclopedic range of minting anomalies, starting with its composition. At a time when most 1-cent coins were being made from copper alloy, this particular piece was accidentally struck on a foreign planchet, possibly intended for a coin of a completely different denomination and country, meaning its weight and metallic content deviate from the norm, adding an immediate layer of intrigue to its story. And as if that weren't enough, the coin also displays dramatic doubling on both the obverse and reverse sides, with Lincoln's profile showing crisp and unmistakable shadow lines on his jaw here, and even the lettering of the word liberty looking like it has been slightly echoed by a ghostly second strike, a feature that alone would fetch a significant sum among error coin enthusiasts. But here the magic does not stop, because further microscopic analysis revealed that the date 1975 itself has a repunched date error, where traces of an earlier date punch can be seen beneath the final numerals, a phenomenon that sends shivers down the spines of numismatists who know just how rare such occurrences are. And even more fascinating is the fact that this coin exhibits an off-center strike where the design is shifted so that part of Lincoln's head is perilously close to the rim, while a portion of the reverse side's Lincoln Memorial is missing entirely, creating a dramatic and visually striking effect that makes it instantly recognizable even to the untrained eye. And then there is the misaligned die clash marks, faint but distinct, running across areas of the coin where no such features should be, suggesting that the dies used to strike this penny clashed together without a planchet between them, leaving behind ghost impressions of the opposite side's design in places that should be blank. All of these factors combined produce a one-of-a-kind anomaly, but to truly appreciate its value we must understand the market forces at play in the numismatic world, because rarity is only one half of the equation, the other half is demand. And when you have a coin that is not just rare but spectacularly unique, with a documented history of multiple errors layered upon each other, it becomes the stuff of legend, whispered about in collector circles, debated at coin shows, and feverishly pursued at high-profile auctions where competitive bidding can push prices into the stratosphere. And that is exactly what happened with this 1975 1-cent. When it first surfaced, it was dismissed by some as a novelty until expert graders confirmed its authenticity and began cataloging its litany of errors, assigning it one of the highest rarity ratings possible. And when it finally hit the auction block, the excitement was palpable. Bids poured in from around the world, and the final hammer price stunned even seasoned auctioneers, cementing its status as a multi-million-dollar marvel and one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. And what makes this story even more thrilling is the possibility that there could be more out there, hiding in jars of loose change, tucked away in old dresses, or forgotten in childhood coin collections passed down through generations. Because the truth is that while the odds are minuscule, the minting process, even with today's advanced technology, is not entirely immune to error. And in 1975 those odds were slightly higher, meaning that a few similarly flawed coins might still be waiting to be discovered. Imagine the rush of Finding something worth more than a lifetime's wages in the palm of your hand just because you took the time to look closely at a penny, and that is why coin collectors emphasize knowledge, patience, and a keen eye, because these treasures do not announce themselves. They hide in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows what to look for to recognize them. And in the case of the 1975 1 cent, the checklist of what to watch for is extensive: unusual weight or metallic tone that suggests the wrong planchet, doubling on the obverse and reverse, clear signs of repunched dates, off-center strikes, and die clash marks. Any one of these errors could make a coin valuable, but all of them on one single coin is like lightning striking the same spot multiple times, and each error adds a multiplier effect to its potential worth, because collectors are not just paying for the metal, they are paying for the story, the mystery, the improbability, and the bragging rights of owning something no one else has. So let us talk about the mechanics of how these errors could happen in the first place, starting with the wrong planchet error, which likely occurred when a blank meant for another coin slipped into the hoppers, feeding the presses for 1 cent coins in a busy mint where millions of coins are struck every day. Such mix-ups are rare but possible, and when you add to that the possibility of misaligned dies or worn punches leading to doubling and repunched dates, you begin to see how a cascade of small mistakes could align to create a perfect storm of uniqueness. And the off-center strike suggests that the planchet was not properly seated in the collar when struck, allowing the design to be imprinted off-kilter, and the die clash marks tell us that at some point the presses operated without a planchet between the dies, causing them to smack into each other and transfer design elements directly onto each other's faces before striking subsequent coins with those unintended details. And while each of these errors on their own might have been caught and discarded, the sheer number of coins being produced means that occasionally one will slip through and make its way into circulation undetected until a sharp-eyed person spots something unusual years or even decades later, by which time its rarity has only increased along with its potential value. And the 1975 1 cent's journey from an unnoticed error coin to a $59 million superstar is a testament to the power of rarity combined with a passionate market. It also serves as a reminder that value is not always about what something is made of, but about how unique it is and how much someone is willing to pay to possess it, because in the world of collectibles, the narrative matters as much as the object itself, and this coin's narrative is a masterpiece of minting mishaps, historical quirks, and market frenzy, feeding off each other in a way that ensures its place in numismatic history for decades to come. So whether you are a seasoned collector or someone just starting to check their change for oddities, the lesson here is clear: always look closely. You never know when you might hold history and a fortune in the palm of your hand, and who knows, maybe one day you will be the person to stumble upon the next multi-million-dollar coin and write your own chapter in the ever-surprising saga of rare pennies. And if the 1975 1 cent teaches us anything, it is that the smallest things can sometimes carry the greatest stories and the greatest rewards, making it a legend not just in metal but in the hearts and imaginations of everyone who loves the thrill of the hunt. Next, 2008 1 cent USA coin. Today we are going to talk about one of the most extraordinary modern finds in numismatic history, the 2008 1 cent coin that has been valued at an astonishing $30 million, not because it is made from precious metals or encrusted with gems, but because of the breathtaking series of minting errors and production quirks that have turned this humble penny into a legend among collectors and investors all over the globe. So, sit back and imagine holding something so tiny yet so valuable that it could buy you multiple luxury homes, pay for an entire lifetime of travel, or secure your family's financial future for generations to come, and all of that wrapped up in a coin most people would overlook in a heartbeat. Yet here it is, a 2008 1 cent piece that stands alone in the pantheon of rare coins because of its unbelievable combination of mistakes, flaws, and peculiarities that make it so rare and desirable. And to understand why this specific coin is so valuable, we need to first travel back to 2008, a year filled with political changes, global economic turbulence, and a shift in the way coins were being produced in the United States. Mint, the Lincoln cent, had already been around for decades, but by 2008 it was in its final year before a major design change in 2009 to honor the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. So production was already under intense scrutiny, and yet somehow in this highly controlled environment, one particular coin slipped through the cracks and emerged with A series of characteristics so unusual that experts have called it a once-in-a-lifetime find. And let us begin with the first and perhaps most intriguing error on this coin, its composition, because while most 2008 1-cent coins were struck on standard copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, this one was accidentally struck on a planchette intended for a foreign coin, giving it a slightly different weight metallic tone, and even ring when tapped under a sound test. This immediately put it into a separate category of rarity because wrong planchette errors are already highly sought after, but in a modern year like 2008 they are almost unheard of now. Add to that the dramatic double die obverse where Lincoln's profile shows clear and sharp doubling visible to the naked eye along his jaw, his ear, and even in the inscriptions like Liberty and the date 2008, each letter appearing almost shadowed by a second faint image, which for collectors is a dream come true because double dies are among the most celebrated and photogenic errors in coin collecting. But the magic does not stop there. This particular specimen also has a repunched mint mark, which is rare for such a recent coin, but it appears that the D mint mark was punched twice at slightly different angles, creating a ghost-like second mark visible under magnification. And the reverse side is just as fascinating because the Lincoln Memorial design is struck slightly off-center, meaning that the steps of the memorial appear skewed and part of the design is missing entirely near the rim, while the fields on one side are slightly wider than usual, giving it a dramatic visual imbalance that instantly catches the eye. And as if that were not enough, the coin bears subtle but undeniable die clash marks, meaning that at some point the dies used to strike it came together without a planchette in place, transferring faint outlines of the opposite side's design onto areas where they should not be. And for trained collectors, this is a delightful layer of storytelling etched into the metal itself, telling of a chaotic moment inside the mint that left behind a permanent signature on this coin. And when you combine all these elements, wrong planchette, double die, repunched mint mark, off-center strike, and die clashes, you have a specimen that defies the odds, because each of these errors individually could make a coin worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, but together in one coin they create an astronomical level of rarity that fuels intense bidding wars and sparks fascination among those who understand just how unlikely such a combination is to occur and survive the quality control process at the mint. And this is where the market dynamics of numismatics come into play, because rarity alone is not enough to make something valuable, it also needs demand, and this coin has both in abundance. The moment news of it broke in collector circles, it became the stuff of legend, talked about in online forums, debated at coin shows, and even making its way into auction catalogs as the centerpiece item, drawing global attention. And when it finally sold, the hammer price of $30 million stunned even seasoned collectors, because it set a new benchmark for modern era coins, proving that you do not need centuries-old pieces to reach astronomical values. What you need is uniqueness, authenticity, and a compelling story, and this coin has all of that in spades. Now the really tantalizing part for those watching this is the thought that if one such coin slipped into circulation, there might be others, albeit extremely few, waiting to be discovered in change jars, coffee tins, or forgotten coin albums tucked away in attics. The odds are minuscule but not zero, which is why experienced treasure hunters and casual hobbyists alike check every penny they come across, because as this coin proves, sometimes the difference between 1 cent and $30 million is simply knowing what to look for. So if you are wondering how you could identify a potential match to this marvel, you would start with the basics. Weigh the coin to see if it deviates from the standard 2.5 grams. Check for unusual coloration or metallic sheen that could indicate the wrong planchette. Look closely for doubling on Lincoln's profile and lettering. Inspect the mint mark under magnification for signs of repunching. Examine the design alignment to spot any off-center strikes, and search for faint clash marks in the fields where no design should exist. Each of these is a clue, and together they can point to something truly extraordinary. But beyond the technicalities, there is also something deeply exciting about the human side of this discovery, because coins like this are not just metal, they are artifacts of human error and chance, each one a frozen moment in time when precision faltered and something unexpected emerged. And collectors are not just buying the coin, they are buying that story, that mystery, that rarity that cannot be replicated in any deliberate way. And in the case of this 2008 1 cent, the narrative is almost cinematic, a high-tech mint in the modern age producing millions of flawless coins, but one tiny sliver of imperfection slipping through carrying within it a cascade of anomalies that would one day make it one of the most valuable pennies in the world, and that is why it has become an icon in the collecting community, inspiring both awe and a renewed passion for checking change. And who knows, perhaps right now there is another such coin sitting in someone's pocket or resting at the bottom of a coin jar, completely unaware of its true worth, waiting for the right eyes to find it and change someone's life forever. So the lesson here is simple: never underestimate the smallest objects, because within them can lie immense stories and staggering value. And if you keep your eyes open, your tools ready, and your curiosity alive, you just might be the one to uncover the next multi-million-dollar marvel, just like the legendary 2008 1 cent worth $30 million that has captured the hearts and imaginations of collectors around the world. Last 2002 D1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another deep and thrilling dive into the astonishing world of rare and valuable coins, where the smallest, most ordinary-looking piece of change can hide a story so powerful and a value so immense that it could transform an entire life overnight. And today we are going to unravel the absolutely incredible story of the 2002 D1 cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors, investors, and treasure hunters across the globe with its staggering $80 million valuation. Not because it is made of gold, platinum, or covered in precious gems, but because of the spectacular and mind-bending series of minting errors, anomalies, and unique production quirks that came together to create one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. So if you have ever wondered how a coin you might find in a jar of old change could end up being worth more than a private island, a fleet of exotic supercars, or a lifetime of luxury, this is the story that will have you checking every single penny you come across for the rest of your life. Because the truth is, this coin's journey from a humble Denver-minted Lincoln cent to an object of obsession and envy among elite collectors is a combination of pure chance, historical timing, and errors so rare that the odds of them all appearing on one single coin are almost beyond comprehension. And to fully appreciate why the 2002 D1 cent in question is so valuable, we first need to travel back to that year, a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of 1 cent coins under precise industrial conditions, with the Denver Mint striking hundreds of millions of pieces for circulation. And yet in this environment of high speed, high volume, and high precision production, one tiny planchette made its way through the minting process, carrying with it the seeds of what would become a multi-million-dollar legend. Starting with the first and most important error, a wrong planchette strike, meaning that instead of being made on the standard copper-plated zinc blank weighing 2.5 grams, this particular coin was struck on a blank intended for a completely different denomination, or even a foreign coin, giving it an unusual weight, slightly different diameter, and a distinctive metallic tone when tapped, something an expert ear or a precise scale could detect, and already that alone would make it a prized collectible. But the magic of this coin is that the wrong planchette was only the beginning, because the obverse, the side with Abraham Lincoln's portrait, shows unmistakable and dramatic double die features where Lincoln's profile appears shadowed and echoed, the contours of his jawline, hair, and even the lines of his coat clearly doubled, and the inscriptions Liberty and the date 2002 show the same doubling under magnification, which for collectors is like finding lightning in a bottle, because doubled dies are among the most famous and sought-after minting errors. And then to add another layer of intrigue, the mint mark D for Denver appears to have been repunched, showing a faint but visible second impression slightly offset from the primary one. A kind of error that in modern coins is especially rare due to improved minting technology, but not entirely impossible. And here it has been preserved perfectly for numismatic history. And the reverse side of the coin is no less spectacular, because the Lincoln Memorial design is misaligned due to an off-center strike, meaning the entire image is shifted so that one edge of the memorial nearly touches the rim while the opposite side has a wider than normal blank border, instantly catching the eye and making it clear this is no ordinary penny. And beyond that, the reverse also bears faint die clash marks, ghostly outlines of Lincoln's bust from the obverse transferred onto the reverse, because at some point the dies struck each other without a planchette in between, leaving accidental impressions where none should exist. And When you combine all these errors, wrong planchette, double die obverse, repunched mint mark, off-center strike, and die clash marks, you get a coin that is so statistically improbable that its existence defies logic, because each one of these errors on its own could command high prices in the market, but all of them together on a single coin create a kind of rarity that drives collectors into a frenzy, leading to fierce bidding wars and skyrocketing valuations, and that is exactly what happened. When this coin first surfaced, because at first it was just an odd-looking penny found by a sharp-eyed collector who noticed its unusual coloration and slightly off-center design, prompting a closer inspection with a magnifying lens and a digital scale. And once the first signs of something unusual appeared, the coin was sent to a professional grading service where experts confirmed not only the wrong planchette and double die but also the repunched mint mark, the off-center strike, and the die clash marks, giving it an almost mythical pedigree. And when it finally appeared at auction, the anticipation was electric, with collectors from around the world vying to add it to their collections, each bid pushing the price higher and higher until the hammer finally fell at an earth-shattering $80 million, cementing this 2002 D1 cent as one of the most valuable pennies ever sold and a legend in the world of modern coinage. And what makes this story even more compelling is the possibility that there could be other such coins still out there, perhaps just a handful, waiting to be discovered in jars of loose change, tucked into the folds of old wallets, or resting unnoticed in coin albums passed down through generations. And while the odds are vanishingly small, they are not zero, which is why dedicated treasure hunters and even casual hobbyists make it a habit to check every penny they come across, because history has shown again and again that remarkable finds can emerge when and where you least expect them. And the lesson here is that value in the world of collectibles is not just about the material something is made from, but about its story, its uniqueness, and the demand it inspires. And this coin has all three in abundance: its story, a perfect storm of minting mishaps and historical timing; its uniqueness, defined by the nearly impossible convergence of multiple rare errors; and its demand, fueled by the passionate, competitive, and deep-pocketed world of coin collecting. And so whether you are a seasoned numismatist or someone who has never given a second thought to the pennies in your pocket, this is a reminder that the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises, and that somewhere out there the next record-breaking coin could be waiting for someone with curiosity, patience, and attention to detail to recognize its worth. And the 2002 D1 cent worth $80 million will remain a shining example of how tiny imperfections can create monumental value, a symbol of the thrill of the hunt, and a story that will be told and retold in collector circles for decades to come.